I think a lot of SMS marketing is going to die off personally.
Really?
Yeah, which I know that's controversial.
What's your opinion on how the best brands win today?
I think the silver bullet now is
Maybe give everyone a quick kind of brief overview who you are.
I am currently the fractional general manager at Naked Harvest Supplements / New Harvest. I guess big career highlight that a lot of people started recognizing me for was I was the head of brand marketing at Petal and Pup. And since then, I've been able to apply that secret sauce recipe to so many other brands.
What truly keeps you going?
Giving people an opportunity, because I genuinely think that I have my dream job and I didn't know that this was possible.
What's the hardest thing you've ever worked on?
Oh, God. I had a 3PL go live once and it went so bad that we had to get the team at Shopify in Canada to jump on with us, and I was awake for 62 hours.
What would you recommend to a marketer that's moving into a leadership role now?
Never be too proud to not ask for help, and then also never stop being hungry.
Chantel, I'm incredibly excited to have you on. We've met a couple of times now, and then more recently in Tasmania.
More intimately in Tasmania when we had a getaway together.
Sure,
that
of
sounds
course.
like something it's not actually. a corporate retreat.
Yes, it's always an incredible event with the crew down there. But I'm excited to have you on. I think so many people know you, have heard about you, have, consistently following you on LinkedIn, on social media. But you spend a lot of time interviewing other people rather than people knowing your story, which I'm excited for today. Maybe give everyone a quick kind of brief overview, who you are, what you do, and how you got into the world of e-com.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to. Thank you for having me, by the way. I'm excited to be here having this chat with you. Okay, so brief overview. Well, I've actually worked in e-com now for 17 years, which is a little bit crazy. But I am currently the fractional general manager at Naked Harvest Supplements / New Harvest. We're going through a rebrand, so that's why I'll reference both names. I also am a consultant with a couple of really great brands across Australia in fashion, lifestyle, beauty, wellness. And I have my own podcast, as you mentioned, like I'm used to interviewing other people. So called If You Know You Grow, which I feel like is a little bit more like the behind the scenes. I was inspired to do it because I always feel like I am the last person at drinks.
Right.
And it's those conversations that you have really late at night sometimes where I get the golden nuggets or where I get the interesting things. So I wanted to bring that network to an audience. So, but I basically started 17 years ago, doing two things. I was writing blogs for a brand called My Kitsch, and I had no knowledge on SEO, and I'm so glad that everything has been scrubbed from the internet. I'm sure someone could find it, but really bad quality photos of my hair and hair ties and all of this. And then I also
You have
used
to start
work
somewhere though, right?
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. And then I also used to work in public relations, not necessarily as a publicist, but kind of as a publicist. I was getting celebrities to wear clothing so that it could get so it could get seen in the news. I'm sorry, not even news, the crappy publications, the magazines that, Brad Pitt's doing this or Angelina Jolie's doing that. So that's basically what I was doing, the very early days of influencer seeding. And since then, I've had the privilege of working with so many huge brands. I think big career highlight that a lot of people started recognizing me for was I was the head of brand marketing at Petal and Pup and the first full-time team member there. And I was able to build out the team and all of their marketing channels and really get that, business to almost the household name that it is. And since then, I've been able to, apply that secret sauce recipe to so many other brands.
Being at Naked Harvest, some of these other brands you work with, Petal and Pup, what would you say is the consistent trait across these brands that draws you in? Because not all brands are equal, right? I mean, different leadership, different style, different, so many differences. But there must be something particular draws you into working with these brands.
I think the biggest thing for me, I don't want to say necessarily founder-led businesses because I think that's a very gray, or it's a very vague terminology, right?
Sure.
Because everything was founded by somebody, right? But they are brands that are built scrappy, but built for purpose. Naked Harvest has such a cool, origin story where the founders literally created a product because there was a gap in the market and they had food intolerances, and they decided to take an untraditional approach to a very traditional product, which is pre-workout and protein powders. And it's quite disruptive. And, Petal and Pup was very different because it was quite family owned and it was started by somebody who didn't want to be the center of attention. She actually just was the best buyer and best stylist and kind of creator that I'd ever met. And she was able to like amplify that. And I think some of the other brands I work with, they have heart and they have community and they have purpose, even in products that just are like quite material and, for fun. Like they may not be a purpose-driven product, but they're created by purpose-driven people.
There's a clear mission behind it.
So, yes, such a clear mission. And they like doing things differently. I think that was one of the things that made me eventually want to leave Petal and Pop. It was, and I still love the team there. Like their CEO is one of the most phenomenal women I've ever met in my career. Their CFO is amazing. They're great. But when you get that big, you lose the ability to be agile because you become too process driven. And I like being with a business that's big enough to do cool things, but not too big to where there's like overly nuanced policy because that can slow you down. So
it's interesting. I remember we had just started to grow as a company from, the 10 or 20 people who could all be in the same office and everyone's paddling in the same direction. Everyone, at this stage, there's not too many objectives or goals across the business. Everyone's basically working on the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we hit like 40, 50 people, I just started to feel like everyone was on kind of this different journey, different page. And it comes down to the leadership to like consistently keep people in the lane, right? And I remember going to an all hands one week and getting everyone to write on a post-it note, what does everyone think the North Star of the company is right now? Like, what is our mission?
Yeah.
And if you asked an engineer, it was like to build the best product. And if you asked a salesperson, it was, I need to close $100,000 of revenue. And if you asked someone in design, it was whatever they said. And if, everyone had a different answer. No one was working towards a common goal. And I feel like that is one of like the secrets to these fastest growing brands is everyone on the team and the leadership and the founders just do an amazing job to keep the team so mission driven to what they're trying to achieve.
They care.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you're like going in so many different directions and you've got some products with this design style and, completely different direction over here, you just start to lose your way. And you see so many companies always come back to their roots.
Yeah.
But joining a lot of these teams, how have you seen that work out so well where brands are just paddling in the right direction? The team is so brought into the mission. It's one thing to have the mission, but getting the team behind it.
I think it comes down to letting them know that, one, if they have an ownership mentality, they can be rewarded like owners. And I don't necessarily mean that like in a financial side. Like I'm really big on the fact that all of my team members are always paid market value. I personally research that every single year. All the recruiters know that I will email them for salary guides. So I make sure the team's taken care of in that sense because I know like money's a weird topic for people to talk about. But like I'm really big on like flexibility and work-life balance and trusting you to do your job because you've proven to me that you can. So I think that really helps. But I think if you're building a purpose-driven business, you need to be really, really clear about the fact that it can't just be for looks. So the sentiment of the team and the sentiment of the community with these brands is taken so seriously. It's not just like I'm going to get a survey and figure out why you've returned stuff. It's like we're identifying these issues and it's not good enough. How do we make it better? And we treat our employees like that because our employees, if an employee is like really invested in the brand, as long as it's something they can purchase, which I feel like, Instant would be different. But like if it's a purchasable product, like they should almost be archetypes for the different customers examples of the different archetypes that you have for customers. Like I genuinely believe that. And then they're invested. The more invested somebody is, the better they're going to perform.
When you first join a brand or come on board, whether it's Petal and Pup, Naked Harvest, and a couple of these other incredible brands that you work with, what do you think are some of the most common potentials that most brands just forget or aren't focused on that you are obsessed with?
So when people like normally come to me, they always think that they have a marketing problem, right? Because that's like what I'm known for is like the marketing stuff. But usually they have like a synergy problem.
Right.
So when I think about things that like these brands that people are obsessed with, the reason why they're now so successful is because we've been able to go in and figure out what was the synergy problem between the teams. And like most businesses, like how you said, like your devs thought it was one thing and someone else thought it was something else. Like ops and marketing need to have the same mission, and they need to be working together for that exact same mission, even if they see it through different love languages, or else like you're really not going to get there. So I've begun to identify what causes friction within the business and what's causing friction for the customer. And usually those things are not very obvious technical problems. They are usually things that, you know, might be a cultural issue, or might be the team's not understanding that they actually need each other to educate and empower each other toward their end goal. So I know that's funny because it's kind of like a fluffy answer, but like all the success stories that I'm sitting with now, and like I have, you know, fashion brands that I'm with that are established fashion brands that were hitting triple-digit growth. And it's because we were able to find synergies. We were able to talk about adoption of new technologies. We were able to have conversations.
How do you actually implement that in the business?
I just get to know everybody. Like literally, like I audit everybody. So I audit every pain point, and I do a lot of surveys. Like I know I mentioned surveys, but I love surveys, and I love blind surveys, like pulse surveys. Have you ever done a pulse survey?
We have, but not nearly enough of them.
Okay, so like they're painful, right? And they're like kind of shitty because it's very obvious feedback. But like you need to be open to that feedback.
Yeah, a lot of founders, leaders just avoid the feedback. Sometimes that's one of the biggest benefits of bringing in a leader who's not the founder.
Exactly.
Is they are not emotionally attached to the business in the sense that just turn a blind eye to the bad feedback.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going in this direction.
It's so true. And that's something that like if a founder, you have to be open to the feedback, good and bad, and you need to see the bad feedback as constructive feedback.
Sure.
Because you are going to get to a point, and you should, but your business is going to be so big that you're not going to be able to see the blind spots. So it's about like hiring people that have the same intentions and see that same North Star as you to help you get there. Like you're only as strong as the people that you surround yourself with.
Do you set monthly goals, quarterly goals, and then how are you communicating that through the business?
Well, I guess it depends on the time of year. Like right now, I feel like everybody is like day by day, like you are tracking everything because time is of the essence, right?
Black Friday, yeah.
Black Friday, oh man, it is like check on your friends that work in retail. Like people are feeling it right now. But I'm really big about whether it's quarterly or monthly, like it's like the short-term things, like the easy wins, the low-hanging fruit, because you need those morale boosts, but then never losing sight over what the big vision is. So if this is 12 months from now, we're going to be here and this is what we want to do and this is how we're going to get there, like never losing sight of that vision. But like, I don't even understand this whole like analogy when they say like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? I don't know who thought about that, but it is that concept, right? Like what are all the little things that you need to do?
Chip away.
How are you going to chip away at that big thing? Because the big thing is going to be super deflating and the organization's not going to jump on board the big thing for 12 months because that's a very long time to hold someone's attention when we all have short attention spans. And then, you know, on the flip side, how do we get the small wins to keep the momentum up?
For sure. I think it's incredibly important. A big part of the brands that you work with as well are generally founder-led or incredible people behind them.
Yeah.
Let's kind of look at Naked Harvest, for example, and since joining that brand, incredibly founder-led brand. How do you manage that relationship with the founders of these businesses when you join and set it up for success? Generally, I'm, talking to other founders on the podcast about their business. But you are a founder in many ways. I mean, you act like a founder. You also have the skill set and the knowledge, to come in and have such an impact on these businesses so quickly. And you just bring a fresh perspective, fresh light into the business. And so that relationship with the existing leadership team or the existing founder or the existing mission is so important. When you first kind of day one, how do you make sure that relationship thrives?
I feel like I've learned this not the hard way, but I think I've had a lot of learnings in like the type of people that I choose to work with, right? Because one trait I share with founders is like, I am like hopelessly enthusiastic, maybe to some point in times where I'm like delusional. Like I'm like, yes, we've got this.
But that's why people love to work with you. You turn up in a room and it's, your infectious energy.
But sometimes for me though, I'm like, oh wait, we're not actually aligned people. I should have vetted this a little bit better, so I've needed to look at that. But if I use G and Koopa, for example, Georgie actually approached me because we met at Petal and Pup, and she knew that she needed somebody in the business that had my skill set because it wasn't their skill set. So I think the founders that I see flourish and the ones that are really the strongest are the ones that there's that point where you have to do everything, right? Because you're scrappy, right? Startup days. And then they get to a point where they identify what their magic is that they bring to the business that nobody else can bring to the business. And they zero in on that and they become laser focused and they start outsourcing the other things, right? So I don't do all of the other things. Like I don't do the P&L. We have an amazing CFO who does all of that. But what I do when she hands me the P&L is I create the strategies around what's going to be happening, with future months, identifying cash flow, et cetera. And then I make it digestible for the founders and kind of like for G and Koopa, and I kind of build that bridge between the two of them so that we can continue to be agile. But it means that, Georgie's just had a baby and her first pregnancy, she didn't feel as though she could step away from the business. So she didn't, right? Whereas this baby, she's actually had a rough pregnancy and a premature baby.
Right.
So she had to step away. She didn't have a choice, right? But she had already identified that she wanted to and she felt like she could. I have probably seen her 3 times since she left in June. And I think that is like, and the business is still going so well and still thriving. And it's because she's able to sit in the energy in the place where she's doing the best, but we've built other processes and systems to kind of step away. So
I think a big part of it as well comes from trust on like working on the hard things, right?
yeah.
And then over time that the level of engagement with the founders just increases. And majority of the time that comes from, as I said, working on really hard things, going through the really low periods.
Yes.
I want to kind of dig into that now.
Yeah.
Because I think people find that interesting. The negatives, the things that went wrong, to learn from it.
Yeah.
People talk about the
everyone
things
loves
that
to
go
talk about
well
the highs.
all the
Yeah.
time, right? What's the hardest thing you've ever worked on?
Oh, God. Okay. So the hardest thing, this is going to be niche to me because this is, again, where like one of my benefits I've identified, I don't like this, so somebody else can do this, right? I really don't like a lot of the operations things. So the hardest thing that I've worked on is I had a 3PL go live once and it went bad. It went so bad that we had to get the team in Shopify, the team at Shopify in Canada to jump on with us. And I was awake for 62 hours. So that was the worst thing that I've ever had to do. But I think in terms of like the hardest projects I've worked on, I mean, Petal and Pup was my proof of concept for what I'm capable of. And I took a business that was already a thriving 8-figure brand, and I needed to figure out how to scale it rapidly because we were going through private equity investment and we needed to basically prove that we were worth it. And I needed to build out a global team during a global pandemic. So establishing a culture and establishing a team and building channels and financially justifying channels that didn't exist before, that was the
difficult.
hardest thing that I had to do. And there were points where it got scary because we had to pivot the way the business was built, right? COVID, I think, was a scary time for a lot of people, but this is
what needed to be pivoted.
Well, we needed to pivot the fact that this dress was like 60 to 70%. Sorry, this dress, I just gave it away. This business was 60 to 70% dresses pre-COVID. And who needs a dress when you're staying at home doing nothing? Right? So we had to pivot into an entire creative strategy and imagine new things. So I think that was tough. And building a culture when everyone has to sit at home is tough, particularly when creatives are introverted people. Like, I love flexible work for creative people because, creatives are normally extroverted people. I love flexible work for creatives because, like, I'm someone who has to work from home a couple days a week because, like you said, I bring the energy. I will continue to I get things done, but I get them done in the way that I get them done. It's good for me to be at home and not be around other people, but it's draining for extroverts to be at home 5 days a week. So it was definitely tough.
What do you think keeps you going through the tough moments? I mean, some people, I ask this question a lot and it's interesting to hear people's answers. Like, what truly keeps you going? Is it the passion? Is it the mission of the company?
Yeah.
Is that when it truly becomes the true answer? Is it the ego? Is it the money? Is it like what truly keeps you going and why?
Yeah, I think it's the team because there are businesses, like I mentioned, I was like, maybe sometimes I'm not good at vetting the businesses that I'm going to work with. And there's been times where I'm like, we're not aligned. I shouldn't have done this, right?
Sure.
And the tough for them would be very easy for me to like box it up and be like, too hard basket. I don't know that I'm your person because I have confidence and, like I live in my ego like a lot of people will, but I've created boundaries to where I'm like, I actually don't think that I'm everybody's silver bullet and it's okay. And I am totally comfortable with that. But the things that maybe keep me going or keep me up at night in both a negative and a positive way are the teams that I get to work with, like the ones that I'm consistently work with that I have really long tenure with, because again, a lot of people don't know what I do because I don't have to advertise what I do, right? They are built by not just the best founders, but actually the most incredible team members. And I am only where I am today because I have had incredible mentorship and incredible leadership. And so I love that even if I'm going to be that with that person for a year or 2 years, I love that I get to be that person for the younger version of me. And usually it is all the marketing girls,
Yeah.
or it's the, girls who want to work in e-com or, whatever that is. Like
Giving these young girls. Or...
Yeah, giving people an opportunity, because I genuinely think that I have my dream job and I didn't know that this was possible. Like backstory, like I'm from the hood. I'm literally from the homicide capital of America. I'm not even kidding. So to think that I've been able to build this life through this career that I love and I get to do something I love.
Why do what you do?
What?
The team.
Yeah.
Being able to now coach, young people into something amazing.
Exactly. That's why that is why anything that's hard, it's never actually that hard. But also like working in supplements, it's tough. That is the one space where you're dealing with higher MOQs than any other industry, and more things can go wrong with the supply chain, right? But everything can become a story. Everything can become fun. Everything can be transparent. And like, again, it's also just supplements. So it's high risk, but like, oh no, we have no mango.
Let's take the emotion out of it and just hit some goals together as a team.
Exactly.
On the mission together.
Yeah. Well, NH had a huge issue where there was like a quality issue that couldn't be quantified, because think about when you buy a mango, right? Sometimes it'll taste one way, and then sometimes you get a mango and it's just not as good.
Sure.
So we had a whole batch of 3,500 units that like kind of tasted not so good, but it was technically completely fine. So instead of gaslighting people, we just ran with it and we're like, hey guys, this is actually like not what it's supposed to be. It's kind of strange. Here's a really big discount. Let it go. So we were honest. We didn't degrade our brand integrity. We were able to make really fun social content out of it. And the people who didn't mind it got pre-workout for a really great deal. And then what did we do? We just ordered a new batch. Like there was obviously, it wasn't the most cash positive thing, but like why stress over it when you have bigger things to build?
Sure. What's your opinion on how the best brands win today? Something you've previously spoken about is that influencers are no longer the silver bullet.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the silver bullet, if any?
I think the silver bullet now is like having a very clear 360 strategy, right? So, which almost means that there's no silver bullet, right?
Right.
It's kind of controversial in that sense. But so many people are like, this one singular thing is going to change your brand. And I'm like, it will if that was a missing part of your strategy before, and then it suddenly becomes the glue and it's amazing, right? But you should never look at one channel and think that it's going to be the be all and end all of your business, because if that is the point of your business, then you don't have a well-rounded business, and it is so risk adverse. Like brands who are over-indexed on Meta, it really worries me, because you could run out of stock of something, turn that creative off, and then just because you restock, if you turn it back on, you may not sell at the same run rate. Like it is such a huge risk to be reliant on any channel. So I think it's about making sure that you're diversifying. Like, you could have
in your mind right now, how would you prioritize channels?
Gosh. Okay, so the first channel for me is brand, which is, I'm going to say, creative, right? Because you can have this messaging come out of any single channel, and for a brand that is not sold emotionally, things will be fine. So if you're selling like anything Amazon or anything like that, I feel like remove that from the conversation. But anything that you need emotion to sell, you need really great creative, because you want to story tell, because people buy from brands now. They buy from brands where they identify the people and they identify the storytelling. So I think you need really good creative. And then after that, I would say you need to make sure that you're utilizing that creative effectively across 7 different touch points. So it's going to depend on the brand. Like I am all about what can you do to own your data, because owning your data means you control your narrative, and every channel is going to be more powerful. So like, what do you have set up so that data acquisition is still really important for your brand? For me, that's how are you going to add value through your campaigns? Because you've got good creative, you're getting people in. How are you going to do something more than just sell to them all the time? Because people get over that and you want to retain that data. And then after that, I'd say meta strategy. I still don't think meta's dead. Like, I don't think it'll ever be dead. I think it's just more than ever, you need to have really good partners running your meta.
I also maybe something that's missed is like these wild stunts that kind of create awareness. Is like
Yeah.
winning the distribution game, winning the awareness game. If you're everywhere,
Yeah.
and obviously it's you know if you had a limited budget, you could be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this huge part of it is just being smart with the budget. But something
Yes.
that and a good example of this is one of your best marketing stunts or campaigns that you ran was this fake US trip.
Yes.
Talk to us about that because I think that kind of gives a good representation of your overall strategy, which is consistently thinking ahead to
Mm.
go, how are we winning the awareness game? What are we doing that's
Yeah.
different and standing out? That's not just whipping up a million meta creatives to win.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Yeah.
I think that actually kind of, it does flow into what I just said, but it's because, to me, I would think that's a creative strategy. So just so that everyone knows what Liam's just chatting about, I went to the US last year. I actually did go. So I went to the US last year and I went to go to Expo West, which is the world's biggest wellness festival expo, because I needed to learn about things. And I took all this content, right? So I took that content and I took that content faceless and I fed it to Georgie, right? So it was very funny because like influencer updates and then some other influencer page was like, look at this entitled influencer flying business class. And I'm like, me on my points, like entitled influencer. No, I was stoked. I just used my points to upgrade myself so that I could be well rested before I got there. But I did go on the trip, so I was able to fake a lot of content. We knew we had to rebrand. So we had to rebrand because we made a mistake and we didn't get a trademark for something. So we needed to go from Naked Harvest to New Harvest. Naked is also not a good word to put into any branding because it's prohibited in a lot of regions. So in, the UAE, for example, a product can't be naked. Like that is
Right.
actually not allowed, right? We don't mean it as physically naked. We mean it as like no nasties in terms of the ingredient base, but obviously it will get construed differently in different regions. So we basically pranked everybody in thinking that we took the whole team to the US. Like we hired a fake limo. If you knew the Gold Coast, you'd know that we were actually at the Gold Coast domestic airport, not the international airport. Like we shut down all the team socials. Like we were really detailed with it. What that did is it actually created a viral campaign for us, but it was what we did with that after. So we made sure there was really strong lead generation. We made sure that we were messaging all of these rebrand moments. We also created fake billboards of actually G and Koopa fake naked. G and Koopa are siblings, not brother and sister. So they're the co-founders. So we had them like naked. Like we really leaned into naked. We leaned into this really weird thing. And people were just watching us, right? That was huge for us because what it actually did is it opened up our awareness audiences. And then we needed the rest of the channels to then do their work from it. But that was just inspired because we were like, how do we say we need to rebrand because there's another product in America called Naked Way and we have a cease and desist? Because that was the reality of the story. But like, we don't want to tell that to our community. And our community loved that so much. And what we have done is next year we will be taking our team on a real trip. Not to the US, but we will take them on a real international trip to say I'm sorry for the fact that they had to put up with a whole prank for a period of time.
That's exciting, though.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about employees, something that you've also done as part of your kind of wider strategy is this employee generated content.
Yes. Yes.
Which is huge. Talk to us more about that.
So employee generated content is so huge. It is something where if you're a founder and you're not comfortable with being in content, you have to be doing employee generated content.
Right.
And employee generated content is basically goes into that, like people want to know who they're buying from. And it can be as strategic as, really well narrated day in a life of what someone's doing because everyone wants to see a job that they're not doing and it's kind of binge worthy. But it's also just like us playing pranks on each other, us doing TikTok trends. Like
it's kind of a good culture ad as well.
It's so much fun. And like we some of it's done on the fly. Like I was pranked. There's actually a TikTok prank where I was pranked by one of the team members, and it's a team member I've worked with for 6 years now through multiple roles.
Right.
And she pretended that she put a discount code up that was only supposed to be for 5 single uses, that she didn't put a limit on it, and that just everything on the website was suddenly free. And she did it so well that she was like choked up as if she was crying. And then I almost got emotional because I was like, Katie, I can't help you if you don't tell me. Like, I just need you to breathe. Like, what's happening? And they completely pranked me. So all the pranks are unfortunately very real in that office.
How do you plan it out?
So they plan out the pranks and they just don't tell anybody. But our girls are chronically online. Like, I think you need to see social media as a form of research. Your social media team needs to be chronically online and chronically consuming, and you need to be fast. So if they're planning a trend and they're going to film it and launch it in 3 weeks because you want their content to be 2 weeks ahead, it's going to fail. Like, you need to be so agile. And I think it's great. This is a great opportunity to give younger people opportunities, because if I edit something in CapCut, it's going to take me 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You don't want that. But Milan, who is, I think she's like 21 or 22, she lives and breathes it. So 15 minutes later, we've got something perfectly edited.
Piece of content.
Incredible piece of content.
More hits than something that half the time takes 2 days to film,
Yeah.
a full script. People just get behind it.
They do. Naked Harvest, we spent a fair bit of money on a commercial that, like, you will never see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a week long. It was this huge production. It was really
tired
exhausting.
by the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, we had to deal with all this weird usage. And, like, that can be a big expense for a company, too, because model usage for commercials is just insane. And, like, I think it, like we posted it when we're like, oh, my God, we have a commercial. And then other than that, it doesn't get the airtime. And we could have produced months of in-house content, and it just be so much more fun. Like, we used to do Foodie Fridays, and we would try random food on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
People loved it. Another series we did was called Spilling the Tea, where the girls would be allowed to go downstairs and share pretty much any secret, as long as it wasn't going to, like, completely screw over a campaign. I think that's how we announced Georgie was pregnant. Like, she let us announce it that way, but people loved it. And it just has to be genuine.
I mean, this must be a huge part of building this, like, overall brand love, where people are just behind the brand.
Yeah.
Another thing that has been worked on is in-person events. I mean, people flying or coming interstate for events of Naked Harvest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we experienced that in Tassie a couple weeks ago. Like, in real life connection is so important in the digital age. But yes, we have people fly all over the country for our events, and every influencer event that we do, 50% of the guest list is for our community. So if you're in our Facebook group, you're the first to know. We actually have 6 community members that we're flying in about 2 weeks from now, because we're doing a community collection where they're deciding the flavors. So we're letting them in on the tasting.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they're going to decide if it's good.
A huge trend recently. I mean, I saw obviously Naked Harvest has done it. I also saw Brittany Saunders from Fate.
Exactly.
Rather than just getting a room full of well-known influencers, they're bringing in people from their community.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting touch. I actually feel like it gets more attention.
It does get more attention.
Funny.
Yeah. And I think there's still influencers that are worth having at these events. And
of course,
those influencers, the funny thing is, the influencers that are going to do so well and you're going to want to have at events are actually the influencers that will love to meet their community, because they're actually just super normal people, but they happen to be really good.
They love the product as well.
They love the product. There are people that we work with that I think that we will always work with, because they genuinely use the products and they ask for top-ups all the time. And then the people that they probably don't like the product. And it's okay. Not everything's for everybody. But the hard thing, though, about this whole community campaign is supplements. We've got a 10 to 12-month product pipeline for development. So we have to keep their attention for a really long time. Like, this is a campaign in a very short attention span place running over 10 months. I don't know that I would encourage most brands to do that, but we'll see when the collection launches. I'll be able to tell you the results at some point. I think it's going to be like between April and May next year, depending on, hopefully people like our flavors. Red frogs is a really hard flavor to nail. So we need to get that over the line. It's really cool, but it's very hard to nail.
How much time do we have? Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll ask 2 more questions.
Okay.
A big part of the kind of strategy over the past year, maybe 2 years, I'm not sure, has been the new app for people to go on and purchase immediately from the app. I feel like this is a huge, huge trend amongst brands. What do you think has been the biggest unlock launching that? Do you think it's been worth the effort?
So it's worth the effort. I mean, most of the brands are going to be on the same technology. For the most part, they're not doing custom. They're all using they're all using the same technology for it.
Like a tap card or something
Yeah, it's all
that.
TapCart, right?
Yeah.
The TapCart team is so easy to work with, and it's super quick to use. Like, I think, Sundays, which is one of the brands I'm working with, we will have an app done in less than 12 business days.
Yeah,
Granted, I've done the integration before, but it's actually not that hard because it's, built by Shopify. Or not built by Shopify, but it integrates with Shopify. It's important because owning your own customer, again, like I said, it's more important than ever. You need to own that data, right? So if your push notifications and it's easier for your customer to purchase and you have a great user experience on mobile and it's all controlled by the app, it means that you're spending less money on retargeting. So retention marketing, that is, to me, it is a form of retention marketing through and through. And I would recommend brands to get it if they feel that their customer is going to like it. I also like it because it feels more socially native and you can take and integrate features that would be custom dev otherwise and just pop it onto things. So like, how like a lot of sites, like people forget to build mobile first because we all sit on our desktops all day. It's a really great way to get quickly around the fact that my mobile experience sucks. So let me fix it.
How do you incentivize your shoppers to use it?
Usually discounts or loyalty points are going to be the best way. It just kind of depends.
Once they've downloaded it, you see them just come back. Now you can do notifications.
You can do push notifications. LSKD, I think, does the best job of the push notifications because they will send you like affirmations. They will randomly refund orders. Like they make it a fun experience to be on their app. Yeah.
I think it's incredibly interesting. What's your opinion on retention marketing in general? Obviously, we've spoken about kind of top of funnel and building a brand. Then it's about like, what about subscriptions, email? What's kind of your opinion on the retention marketing stack in general? When does it become a time to start focusing on that as a channel?
I think from the beginning, like I literally think day dot, it should be something, especially like, say if someone was listening to this, right? Obviously, this is why you're asking because someone's listening and so they want to know these things. Like if you're early in your brand, start retention marketing now because it's easier to retain someone from the beginning than to try to win them back after you've done things not great. I'm often brought into brands where their retention has not been great and their repeat customer rate is really low. And that just means that every portion of your marketing is inefficient. So it is critical from day one.
That's the biggest thing that I think so many founders forget.
Yeah.
They look at it as retention marketing. Oh, it's just another revenue channel. We'll just continue to grow meta and it will kind of fill the void. But what they're forgetting is, okay, well, you're spending so much cash in getting these people to your website in the first place.
Yeah.
And then they're purchasing and they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Or they're putting an item in their cart and they're not coming back. So now you've just lost that customer. So now your meta spend has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Your shoppers who you've apparently built a loyal or a great product for aren't returning.
Yep.
And it might not even be because they hate the product. It's just you're not reminding them. You're not telling them. You're not building that trust.
I need a browse abandonment. I need a cart abandonment because I will get distracted and I will forget to purchase. But if you remind me, then I'll remember to purchase and I'll get the thing that I actually want. Like I am the problem customer in e-com and I know this, but I'm a very loyal customer. So I want to be reminded. But yeah, I know, so many people say that, it's, I'm focusing on acquisition and retention always need to be a part of your strategy. And you are going to make a mistake if you don't have both of them equally as important.
You've built multiple brands from the ground up for a new marketer, and even some of the incredible people on your team today who, you've taken them under your wing and are becoming incredible marketers so quickly. What would you recommend to a marketer that's moving into a leadership role now?
Never be too proud to not ask for help because even now, I don't know everything, but the great thing is I know someone who knows what I don't know, and I'm so happy to reach out, and we have the best community of people. So I would say that, and then also, like, never stop being hungry. The advice that I give so many founders when they're like, how do you hire good people? I'm like, I hire people who are hungry. I hire people who want to be there because you can train most skill sets, right? Like, I mean, you can do that. So that's actually the easier thing to do. But you can't train a personality and you can't train someone's desire to be there.
You don't want someone turning up saying, this is how it's done. This is what I like to do.
Yeah.
They need to be part of the team, like you said.
Yeah, they need give them stuff to own and let them own it, but make sure that they're hungry and want to own it because then they'll be excited because they get the opportunity and you'll be happy because someone actually cares.
What about that same question for a founder?
Yeah.
What would you recommend a founder of an e-commerce brand? Let's say a brand that's doing between $10 and $50 million a year online right now. What do you think are the fundamentals to get right?
I think the fundamentals of retention. Yeah, actually that's the thing because that's something it's so topical and everybody's going to chat about it. But the amount of brands that I go into that have loyalty programs that have horrible retention, and it's because they thought that they could just pop something.
Whip it up.
Yeah, whip it up and it's fine. And I'm like, there has to be intention behind what you're doing. You have to be strategic because if it was that easy, then everybody would be doing it, but not everybody's doing it. And it's going to get harder. And especially if you're a brand over COVID, because I think a lot of people who started in COVID are like, oh my God, it's so tough now. No, it's just as tough as it was pre-COVID, because Australians are spending money on things that are not sitting at home shopping. Like they're spending money on traveling, they're going out, they're doing all these things. So when user behavior changes, you need to change as well.
What do you think are going to be the biggest shifts in 2026?
I think in 2026, we're going to find a lot of micro influencers who are working for brands in-house for content because they'll nail EGC. So I think that's going to be a really big shift. You're going to see people. Jazz Handmade does this already, and
But
I also
hiring influencers in-house.
yeah, they hire influencers in-house who work part-time there and then influence part-time because that's the dream.
Wow.
And then I think there's going
Is
to
that
be
something you're thinking about doing or are doing?
we kind of already have it. Like if you look at Petal and Pup or Beginning Boutique or Sundays, the model that they're using is the girl that I've got on TikTok. So because I'm okay if she takes the day unpaid to go model, I'm totally okay with that because she's really comfortable in front of camera and I want to support her as an individual in whatever she wants to do. And that means that we'll have her until she's ready for her next chapter and we'll support her when she gets there.
What do you think the biggest things that in 2026 will no longer become a thing that's happening today?
I think a lot of SMS marketing is going to die off personally.
Really?
Yeah, which I know that's controversial, but it's because I think that people like to spray and pray and they're like, why did I spend so much money and this didn't work? And it's because they're like too cocky to listen to their advice, like to the advice that people are telling them to do. Like nobody is telling you to ever text your entire database unless it's really exciting. Like I've done that once ever in Naked Harvest history. And it's because we were giving away $10,000 and we had like a 60% off sale. Like it was something wild where I'm like, it's going to cost this much for this. Do I just send it? And we just decided to do it. But that's the only time I've done that in the last 7 or 8 years. And I think brands are still doing it. So people stopped adopting SMS because they're not being strategic and they've blown a lot of money.
Interesting. Oh, well,
Yeah.
we'll have to check in a year
Yeah,
and see
we'll
where we're at.
see.
I mean,
Yeah.
thanks for coming on, Chantel. I think it's your story is incredible.
Thanks for having me.
And it's obvious why so many people look up to you in the e-commerce industry here in Australia. So
Thanks.
for
That
coming
means so much to me. Thank you.
on.